Sophie, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah.
Nerves gone?
Still there, but
We'll be fine. We'll be absolutely fine.
in the deep end now, so there's no getting out, but I've kind of got to swim ashore.
What's the worst that could happen?
That's very true.
Absolutely nothing.
People find me more annoying than they already did.
I've already got that, so it doesn't really make a difference. I'm over that part of it, to be fair. We'll look at, part of your job is working on OnlyFans. You've also got another job running alongside that. We'll cover both of them. I'm always curious to know, though, we guess, about what did you initially want to do? So when you left school and things like that, what was your actual dream job, or what did you fancy doing?
It changed a million times through high school. I never knew what I wanted to do. I left school with the intention of going to do geography, and then within 2 weeks that changed to law.
Yeah.
And then I didn't like law, so I decided that I was going to be a personal trainer, which is obviously what I do now. But yeah, I've never had like one job that's been like, oh my god, I absolutely love this. I've always just kind of gone with the flow. I'm very impulsive,
yeah,
which controls a lot of things in my life, including what I did after school. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and I enjoy what I do, to be fair. I think it works really well for me. I started gymming quite heavily towards the end of maybe fourth year. And then I was like, oh, I really love this. I was in the gym 5 times a week. And I'd go at like 8 o'clock at night because I hate seeing people in the gym. If I went at 8 o'clock at night, nobody else would be in the gym. It would be just me, and it would be great.
People you knew, or just people in general?
So the gym is quite small, and I think I knew every single person
there that was about the same age as me.
Right.
So it was like if I went at like 8 o'clock at night, I knew nobody. I could just figure things out myself, which is what I did for the most part. Is I worked out myself. And then there came a point when I was leaving school that I was like, maybe I should go for it and do the college route for it and go do the 2 years at college and then be a PT from there. But I was like, Mom and Dad wanted me to do something a bit more official.
Yeah.
So they were like, get a degree, and then if you really want to still do it after that point, then you can do it then. But literally a week after I started OnlyFans, when I got my first ever like paycheck from it, the first thing I did was pay for a PT course.
Right.
Still in uni at that point, paid for my PT course and did that over the summer. And by the end of that summer, I was a qualified PT. And I've not looked back on that front since.
So what were you studying at uni at that point?
Law.
And did you just no fancy doing
I've
it,
always
or
been all right academically? I can write an essay, no problem at all. And I did enjoy it initially, but there's just something about it became so boring, and I just was sat there like, I cannot imagine doing this for the rest of my life. Like, it is draining.
Yeah.
It's just that way where I was like, I wasn't enjoying it enough to be like, I want to commit myself to this, because law in Scotland is getting a law degree is a big task. You need to do your LLB for 4 years, then you've got to do a diploma, which is another year. And now since COVID, there's such a backlog that you can't even get on a diploma.
Yeah.
I know someone that graduated with her LLB 2 years ago, and she still can't get a diploma place, so she just gave up on it.
Right.
And then after that point, you need to find a 2-year traineeship.
Jeez.
So yeah, it's 7 years. 7 years to become a lawyer.
With no guarantee of a job.
No guarantee, yeah, exactly. And the diploma and the traineeship are the hardest bits. And I think you have to know for certain that you want to be a lawyer to go through all that.
Yeah.
Because I think it's absolutely pointless putting yourself through all that stress of trying to find these placements to then get to the end of it and be like, how do I do this? Yeah. So yeah, it's a daunting thing to look at when you're like sat in third year and I've still got 4 years of essentially learning to do that. I think it scared me off. In all fairness. So yeah, I was just like out of there.
So did you leave at third year, or did you?
End of third year. I was just that way where I didn't see the point and put myself through the stress of doing my dissertation.
Yeah.
I was like, there's absolutely no point in this. I might as well just boost.
Yeah.
So I did register for fourth year, but then decided about 2 weeks before I was like, I'm not doing this to myself. I just can't do it to myself. Not when I think as soon as I qualified as a PT, I was like, there's absolutely no point in me putting myself through this. If I wanted to, I think I could go back, but I just see no point. I don't want to do something I hate and work, not even a 9 to 5. Like, being a lawyer, it's like 7 till 10 basically.
Yeah.
And those were the hours I do now, working essentially 2 jobs, but I love both of them, that it doesn't feel like I'm working for that long.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nights that I finish up at like 4 a.m.
Right, okay.
And there's mornings I wake up at 4 a.m. to start my other job.
Yeah.
So, like, I do that because I love it. I can't imagine doing that for a job that I absolutely hate.
Yeah. What about what did your mum and dad say when you left?
I didn't tell them. Everyone always, right, so during COVID, like Andy Halliday and that was like big in streaming on Twitch, and that came up in conversation at some point because it hadn't been that long since I left, but someone did ask me and I was like, I just didn't tell them. They've asked how it was going towards the end of 4th year. I was like, I dropped out. So yeah, I think they knew by that point I was a PT, so I don't think it was entirely surprising. But they were just, I was just like, I'm not doing it anymore.
And how hard was it? See, from doing the training to get the PT side of things, how hard was it then to establish yourself and get into that world?
I passed my final exam, I think it was the end of August. And before that point, I'd actually had an interview at a gym. You know Eva Black? Her boyfriend Mikey, he had a gym in town called Corpo, and he'd posted something in, I think, July about looking for a PT. But at that time, he was looking for someone that was a more like an MMA based or like kickboxing based, because that's what his gym was. There was a huge boxing ring in there. It was kind of a mix of both. And he was like, well, when you pass your test, if I'm looking for someone a bit more PT based, come back to me. And literally a week after I passed my final exam, he'd posted that he was looking for someone. So I was like, I'll go in there. It started off, I've got a friend who does lashes in the city centre, which was a great help because I'm a women-only PT. So she started with me, and then she would use her lash page to promote me. And funnily enough, that's how I met my current best friend, as I was her PT before anything else. And now I've been stuck with her for the last 2.5 years. I wouldn't change it for the world right enough, but that's how our friendship came about. So by that point, I must have stopped working with Mikey in January, December, January. Yeah, because I went on holiday in November. So by December, January, and I stopped working for 5-6 months, and then I started a PT of my own because I was struggling with motivation. I get burnt out so easily. Like, I'm currently like burnt out with everything, but I'm pushing through because I feel like if I don't, then it's like all the hard work I've put in for the last 2 months is going to be for nothing. But I was really burnt out. I was like, no, I need someone to keep me motivated. So I started with a PT in the East End, and he actually let me know that he was opening a gym in the city centre and was looking for PTs. And I was like, do you know what? I may as well. It gives me a good enough chance to get back into things. And I'd posted a TikTok that was 6 seconds long. It was just like, I'm looking for women that want to be PT'd in the city centre. And it did incredibly well. Perfectly targeted the audience. And by that point, my books were completely full. Within a week. I hadn't even started yet, which is another story because the gym was just, it was a long road to get the gym started. And there were a lot of technical difficulties, so I had to pick up a lot more than I probably wanted to be doing or what I was told I was be doing when I agreed to the job. But I am grateful for the opportunity. It did give me a good base, but I worked there for 4 months. Yeah, from about June to the start of November. And then in September, so it's actually not September, it was the year before, I coughed unlocking my front door and basically ruptured the disc in my back.
Jeez. That sounds like a made-up injury.
It's so embarrassing. It's actually unbelievably embarrassing to have when someone asks, like, how did you injure your back? And I have to go.
Odds of that happening?
I know, I had a really bad cold, and it was one of those ones. It may have been good, it may not have been, but I could not stop coughing. And it was literally just as I was turning the lock in the door, it caught me off guard. And I coughed and literally fell to the floor. like the disruption, and then I just pushed through it because I was like, oh, it's not going to be that serious. Like I'm young, like it's not going to be that bad. And then come September, basically just from straining myself and overworking, it flared all the way back up.
Right.
And I'd had a physio appointment because I go to physio for some other things. And she was like, oh, I'll have a wee feel about your back. She literally was like doing that to my back. She hit a point, and I think if I could fly, I would have hit the ceiling. It was unbelievably painful. And then from there, it was about 3 months of just constant pain. And constant problems, and there was nothing they could do about it.
Right.
I just had to let it settle down. And even now, nearly a year, I say it's nearly a year, it's about 9 months, but nearly a year, it still gives me grief some days. Like, see if I go for a long walk, then by the end of it, like, my back is killing me. But with that, like, I just couldn't bring myself to keep working in person. I kind of knew it in my head. I was like, if I keep pushing through this and I keep working, I am going to injure myself a lot worse than just a ruptured disc. Because at that point I was having like sciatica, and then I was having other nerve problems as well. So I was like, no, I need to take
How many hours were you working at this point? Were you doing like mad?
I'd start at 5:30. I'd work 5:30 till 10 a.m. I'd have the afternoon off, which I'd spend on OnlyFans. I'd call it OnlyFriends by thingy. I just like, I always say it's a PG way, so I always say OnlyFriends. If you hear me say that, that's just a why. But I'd do that until about 4:30, and then I'd be back in from 5 till sometimes 10:30. And I'd get home for about 11, be back up at 4 and out the door. And obviously trying to do both of them alongside that, it was horrific.
I suppose you've got more control over your work.
Exactly. I can sit in my wee chair with my lumbar support cushion, and it's so much easier than having to demonstrate every exercise. Because he's very strict about, like, you have to show every exercise because there might be someone that's forgot how to do it, and if they do it from memory and they get it wrong, they hurt themselves, it's on you. So I had to always demonstrate, and there would be times that I wouldn't be able to do it. Like I would genuinely struggle, and I had these set plans that I had to do, and I couldn't properly do them because of this injury, and there was no support for me at all. So it was just a rough time, a dark time. I thought it was a great opportunity, and it was very much like a wolf in sheep's clothing.
But I suppose you took learning from it as well.
I learned that if I'm ever going to work in person again, it'll be my own gym. I think with being a PT, unless I'm training you in person, I think a lot of it lies with personal responsibility. If a PT gives you a plan and tells you what to eat, gives you lays everything out for you, I think it's then on you to stick to that. A PT can't hold your hand. I can't hold every single one of my clients' hands. I don't have the hours in the day for it, quite frankly. I think I do have to rely on people being self-responsible, and I need honesty as well. Like, I need you to just tell, see if you didn't do something, like say you have a self or workouts for a week, and you only did 2. I need you to tell me that. Like, see if you tell me, oh, I've done all of them, and you lie to me, then I'm going to be like, when you're not hitting your goals, I'm going to be like, what's going on here? And then in a way, I think you do start to doubt yourself. So that's why, I have stopped working with clients just because they've been dishonest to me. It's not worth me stressing over whether you're actually telling me the truth of I did this or I didn't do this. But yeah, that's one side of it.
It's interesting though. So how do you, from the PT world, where does the OnlyFans start to come in? Like, how did you find out about it? And then from there, how did you end up being involved? So,
I always knew what OnlyFans was. I've got YouTube. I did YouTube videos for a very short period of time, and there was one I did a Q&A, and someone asked me, like, would you ever do OnlyFans? And this would have been about 6 months before I actually started it.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure. It's probably not for me. And then 6 months later, here I am. But I had a creator approach me, and they were like, oh, I think you'd work for it. And from there, I basically started on my page. And I am grateful for having the helping hand. I'm obviously not a fan of how things went with it. I've told you the story.
Yeah.
But I was grateful to have someone that like pointed out, like, you should do this, and here's how things work, blah, 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 blah. And then before I started it, I was posting pictures on Twitter, like of just me in Rangers tops. And I think by that point I had 9,000 followers.
Right.
And it was just like one day, like I'd posted a photo of me in a Rangers top, and I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to put it underneath and be like, surprise, here's...
So that was the first you'd ever said to anybody that you were, right, okay.
I just was like, surprise. I think people close to me knew I'd done it, or I knew I was going to do it, because I did used to just joke about it a lot. Like, see... during COVID, I worked for like just a small shop, like, and I get paid in cash. Right. And I remember I'd sent my friend a picture of it and was like, the OnlyFans monies came in. So I just constantly joked about it. I was doing Twitch streaming and that. Like, I felt like it was probably a natural segue at that point. Yeah. But I was still Twitch streaming at that point. So I'd like I had it like So on Twitch, you get this thing called, you can get like chat bots. They can put specific links in your chat. Okay. And I had mine set up with my Linktree. And I literally was like, I can't even remember what it was specifically, but it did. That's how the Lonely Friends or Only Friends, and then it went to Lonely Friends, because you're trying to just evade that thing of if Twitch see you promoting OnlyFans, they're just going to be like, absolutely not. So we just kind of started getting creative with it, and they would go out in my chat maybe every 20 or so messages, and that was a great help. Right. But then I moved, and I just never managed to fully get back into Twitch streaming, which is probably gutting, because I think if I did continue with it, it probably would have been my biggest source of subscribers. Yeah. But now it's just Twitter, because my Twitter has kind of the last 6 weeks, just gone absolutely berserk. Right. I'm not sure why, because I think if you look at my Twitter, I'm a lot more safe for work than 90% of creators on Twitter are, in which, see, people are like, oh, sure, like, why wouldn't you be? And I'm like, not being funny, I get the same engagement on my tweets not showing anything as girls do that are fully nude. Yeah. I don't see what the point in is putting that on the internet for, like, just for free essentially, when I can get all the engagement I need without doing that. And I think when people are complaining about me on Twitter, all they can say is like, she just posts the same picture, same like backdrop and underwear all the same time. And I'm like, do you know what, it works for me. I might as well embrace it. I know I had to be complaining about basically my wardrobe doors, because I've got like a built-in wardrobe in my bedroom, and it works as like a perfect backdrop because it's plain white. I like having a crisp, clean background. It's just something about it. I've always been like, I can't be one of those people that take a picture and have a million things in the background. If I want to take a photo, it has to be very clean, very empty. So that was, I just said that'd be my spot. Unfortunately, this week I have decided to now paint, well, I haven't decided, this was decided about 2 months ago, but I've painted my walls. They're now grey. I got a new carpet, which will please everyone that was complaining about my carpets, but he was like, if I have to see this, these bedroom door or wardrobe doors one more time, like, I'll lose my mind, and then blocked me and like posted a screenshot of blocking me. And I was like, if the worst thing you can say about me is I'm annoying and repetitive, I think I'm doing something right. Like, why would wardrobe doors annoy somebody that much? Because just having to see them all the time. That's and bizarre. Then it was like, and like stupid captions like, what's your favourite flavour fruit pastel? So the next photo I posted after it, that's what I captioned it. I was like, what's your favourite flavour fruit pastel? Because I was like, is this supposed to annoy me? Like, at the end of the day, I've had a lot worse. I know for a while when I first started it, like, folk were comparing me to Chucky's Bride. Jeez. How hard is that though? Because it must be hard. I've got very thin skin. Right. But I've got a lot better at handling it. I feel like I've always had thin skin. I've always been like someone that will just cry at any sort of conflict. Like, if I get angry, I burst into tears. And I think at the start, I would let it get to me. But nowadays, I just don't check my replies. I was like, what's the point? Why am I just going to sit and read through it and make myself miserable?
Yeah.
I have this kind of thing of like, if anyone's close to me, like they know they're forbidden from telling me any sort of replies that are negative to my tweet, especially if like when that tweet first came out. None of my friends had all seen it and like just hadn't messaged me because they kind of knew. They were like, she's not going to take that well.
Yeah.
Not that it wasn't like it hurt my feelings, but I think any sort of criticism you get as someone with thinner skin, it's a lot to take.
Yeah.
And when the replies are full of people just agreeing, you start to doubt yourself just that little bit. But then at the end of the day, the end of that day, I was like, well, what's the point? I mean, literally, I had that whole mindset of if he finds me annoying and that's the worst thing he can say about me, that's a good thing on my part.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's people that have a lot worse that can be said about them than they're just annoying. And at the end of the day, it makes it's made my page grow ridiculous amounts just from being on Twitter a bit more, that I'm going to keep doing it. Like, one tweet calling me annoying, saying he doesn't like my bedroom doors, it's not going to dissuade me.
Yeah.
I don't see like any need on why you would post a screenshot of having me blocked.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, I was like, what do you gain from that? Like, from telling me? Like, there's this Facebook group that I see tagged a lot, and it's called "This Isn't an Airport. You don't have to announce your departure."
Right.
And that's all I could think about when I seen it. I was like, you don't have any need to announce that I'm blocked.
Yeah, that's maybe it's as if like, what are you even supposed to do about it anyway? Because you're blocked. So it's who's it for?
Like, why would you tweet? Yeah, like it's like, what's the point in tweeting about blocking me after you've blocked me?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to see it. I'm not going to know or care. But I have got 3 Twitter accounts. I've got my main one. I've got one that's like for like close friends on Twitter. I know Twitter, you've got like Twitter circles now.
Yeah.
But before that was, I think I do have like a wee account that I just spam post sometimes.
Yeah.
Normally it's about Pokemon Go.
Right, okay.
It's just a random hobby I have.
Like the app. The game.
Yeah.
My God, that was like
absolutely
massive.
love it. Yeah, I absolutely love it. And sometimes like people like go through my photos and they'll like be like, they'll comment and they'll be like, this one sticks to my brain. It was like, Rangers in Pokemon Go, God didn't rest on the 7th day, he made you. And I was like, great, sums you up as a person. But yeah, that's kind of what it's returned to now, is just me posting about Pokemon Go. But there's that one, and then I've got like a private OnlyFans one that it's not even much more explicit, but it's just stuff that like Twitter's very heavy with their shadow bans right now. They'll basically just search ban you, and it completely demolishes your reach on photos. So that's why I post quite conservatively, because I don't want to be shadow banned and set myself back. So I've got a Twitter account that's private, and I can post whatever I like, and I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, I was like, as soon as someone told me about it, I was like, I'm going to go on and have a wee nosy on my other account, which is the worst thing you can do, I think, in this industry, is go on a hate post about you and just read through it, because you will just put yourself in a hole. I know it every time it happens.
You just feel worse with each passing comment.
Like every other person that finds me annoying, it just builds on. And even though I've got 60,000 followers on Twitter, there's 60,000 people that don't find me annoying. The fact that 10 people do seems to weigh so much more. But I've been a lot better at just being able to like shake it off and not let it get to me as much as it used to. I think it was tough in the beginning. And I did have a lot of panic attacks at the start, because I think it's this whole thing of, oh my God, there's so many people watching me right now. Like, there's so many people who just don't like me because of what I do. But I don't think I'm nearly as bad as like half the creators on Twitter. Like, I think I'm quite tame. And really, I hate using Twitter now, because I think it's such a toxic environment sometimes that there's no point in me using it bar promoting my OnlyFans. Like, that's all I do for it. And if you're going to call me annoying for that, then just block me. Like, you don't have to announce everyone, just block me. It makes your life easier. I'm not going to stop because one person doesn't like it.
And do you notice, see, from having that like high Twitter account, do you notice that then feed into your subscribers?
Oh yeah, but like I put a wee poll out maybe a week ago, and 95% of my subscribers come from Twitter.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's one of those things that I just can't I can't look past that.
Yeah.
Like, if I stop doing that, like, I'm basically just cutting off my nose to spite my face.
Yeah.
There's no point in me just stopping doing Twitter. Because people find me annoying. Like, I'm just going to keep doing it. I probably should get into TikTok. I know that's what a lot of girls use, but I don't have the energy, at least right now, to make like 100 TikToks.
It's a constant thing with TikTok as well.
Yeah, because I know like you have to post like 6 or 7 a day, every day, and I don't know how people can sit down and record 100 TikToks in one sitting to then have to put them out over like 5 accounts.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
a full-time job.
Yeah, it's not something I'm built for. I think I'm very relaxed because you'll have a lot of girls that say like, completely run by me. And as soon as I see that in my bio, I feel like you're more likely to doubt it. Yeah. Because it gives people a reason to like, they'll think like, if you're like texting them on OnlyFans and then you sound slightly different because I don't think I'm meant to spill this, but like other girls do have people working for them because when you have got a big page, it can be a lot. But I am like, it's just me. I'm a one-woman show and I balance 2 jobs. Yeah. It's like I can't invest as much time as I would love to, but I love both my jobs equally, that I don't want to just cut off one to put all my time into the other. Obviously, it would be cutting off PT and to put on OnlyFans, but maybe eventually down the line, if I did what like other fitness influencers do. Not that I even am a fitness influencer. I don't really promo being a PT anymore. It's just by word of mouth. That if I do like a plan where you just buy the plan and you do it all yourself, I think that'd be the only way if I would like fully just go into OnlyFans all the time. Yeah. But like people will message me at like 3 a.m. And then get annoyed when I've not replied by 5 a.m. Yeah. And I'm like, I was asleep because, you know, people sleep.
Yeah, what you expecting really. Yeah.
And then there's people that get like upset when I've not replied in like 20 minutes. And I will be doing like my other job. And I'll be like, I don't dedicate my time to it. And then someone was like, oh, like, hopefully one day you make enough that you can do both. And I was like, I could get by with just OnlyFans. Yeah. But I need to stay busy. If I don't stay busy, I will just sit and, like, lose something to do. Like, I think OnlyFans is one of those ones you get, like, weeks where it's so busy and you're non-stop and you're constantly speaking to people. And then you have other weeks where it's, like, you get maybe, like, half the messages you normally do, so there's big gaps in between and it just you're left with nothing to do. And to be fair, most girls would be like, oh, I'll take content in this time, but like I feel like I've got to be in a specific mood to actually want to create content that I'm like, well, I've got nothing to do, so then I sit and play like my little computer games.
But then how do you see from being a creator and you're building content for your subscribers, you're building content to go out on Twitter, etc., to bring in subscribers. When you're doing it on OnlyFans, how do you know where the line is? So when you're building your content and what you're putting out to the world, do you have an idea in your head of...
I've got like personal boundaries. Yeah, I've got personal boundaries I've set and I've had since the start. And no amount of money could dissuade me from that. Even like I don't touch a lot of like kinky stuff. Yeah. The weirdest one being this is one that I'm very on the fence with because I don't know if I like should, but I know a lot of other girls share what they've got paid to do customs of. But a boy wanted me to put stuff in my mouth with paper. Right. Like ball up newspaper and put it in my mouth.
Did he say why? Or...
Just seems to be his thing. He wanted me to do it in newspaper. Originally it was magazines, but we compromised on a book. And then like just normal paper, like printer paper. And I was like, well, it's nothing that bad. Like, but I did charge him like 4 times what my normal rate would be because I was like, it's just strange.
That's very random.
Like I know another creator I know, she got asked to do a video of like her crushing bugs.
That's weird.
Yeah, you get a lot of very strange ones. So that's the only like super weird one that I've had to contend with, and that was very recent. But yeah, I've got a lot of boundaries of just like I don't take any shit on OnlyFans. See, if you start getting snarky with me, I'll get snarky back. I've got no issues with it. I know a lot of girls are like, oh, like be nice even when they're not nice because you want to keep your fans up. But I just don't see the point. If they're going to be rude to me, I will be rude back.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like sit and take it. Like, I don't have any issue. If you want to leave my page, do it. I'm not holding you hostage. I'd rather have you leave and not have to deal with you than deal with you being horrible to me over nothing. I think it's just one of those things. I know a lot of girls probably wouldn't do that. But yeah, I would like restrict people and block them if they're nasty to me, because I'm like, what's the point? I'd rather refund you your sub than put myself through that.
Yeah, it's not really a benefit to you, is it? Looking at the kind of long term. See, for people who subscribe, and I'm generalising here, is it always about the photos and the videos that you put out, or do you think it's more of a people just want to talk to somebody?
Sometimes, yeah. Like, I've had a couple that I've, like, I say a couple I've lost kind of how many subs I've had in total now by this point, because it has been 2.5 years. But I've had a good amount that I've like subbed to like just chat.
Yeah.
And they've been like, oh, I'm new to this, but like I've seen you on Twitter and I just wanted to see what it's all about, and I thought like I'd try with you, and I'm like, okay, cool, welcome.
Fair play for just saying it like that.
Like, okay, cool. I kind of get, like, I don't want to say I get an ego boost, but it's always nice when someone says like, oh, like, I like your Twitter enough to actually go ahead and make an account.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice. And I think I do. My page doesn't operate by normal OnlyFans standards. In a way, a lot of girls, the way they get their subs is with like collabing with other creators and like shouting out other creators. Like, if you go through like an OnlyFans creator on Twitter, you will see there's like a lot of like promoing each other. They'll retweet each other's tweets. I don't do any of that. I am like just me. I am very much, I don't want to say it without saying arrogant, but I am self-made. Like, I don't rely on anyone else to help me grow. I'd rather just get all my growth done myself. And that is why I've had a lot of cases where it's like, oh, I made the page for you. Which is great. Like, if you're here for me, less chance that someone's going to take your eye and pull you away from me. It promotes longevity, I think. I've got subs that I've been subbed to my page from that first tweet where I promoted it to now.
Like 2.5 years ago?
Yes.
Jeez. That's what I always wonder as well, because in the nicest way, there is obviously things available for free online. But why do you think people pay for it?
I don't know. I think it's always been that case of like, I think of it like normal movies. You can get any movie you want for free.
Yep.
But some people will still go out and pay for it.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot more of like, it's a lot more intimate, I think, watching someone knowing that like, it's only been, like, only a few people have seen it. I say a few, it's all about that few, but like, only a small amount of people have seen it compared to like, another popular site where it's like 1 million people have seen it. Like, I think, and being able to talk to someone one-to-one is a lot, I think, a big part of that. Because you get to find out, like, the way when people always ask me, they're like, why'd you do it? And I was like, well, I was getting messages on Twitter anyway.
Before you done it? Right, okay.
Long before I'd started doing it. People were messaging me on Twitter anyway, and I was like, what's the point of me just doing, like, letting them message me for free when I could at least make them pay, and then they actually might get a response out of me. Like, if I went through, if Twitter showed me how many DM requests I had, I genuinely probably have about 10,000 that are just all of my requests. I am very pernickety about who I actually accept. I only really accept people I know, or if it's like genuine like business inquiries. Like, a big TikTok creator had messaged me on Twitter not long ago, and I was like, I'll pop one and see, I'll reply and see what that's all about. But there wasn't anything that actually interested me. But like, I try to keep my DMs minimal. I do with like my other social medias. I think if you want a reply from me, there's a link in my bio where you can get a reply from me. There's no point in me replying for free. And
I suppose you then can fall into that dark place of when the messages aren't as nice, and you're then...
To be honest, right, the only time they've not been nice is last year when we played Braga and I can't remember what one it was. I think it was the last 16.
The Europa.
I stayed in Porto. Like everyone else, stayed in Porto. for the game and like loved adventure in Portal. So when I left, I posted some of the pictures that I'd taken around Portal on Twitter. I was like, Portal, you've been a blast, because I spent like a day in Braga. The other 3 days were spent walking about Portal. I don't remember anything from Braga because I was stood in a square the entire time.
Yeah.
Whereas Portal, I actually explored, and like a bunch of Braga fans were like in my request being like, you were in Braga, you dumb whore. Wow. And I was like, well, I think I know where my Airbnb was more than you do. But the only other time I've had like a couple really, really bad ones that have involved like threats towards me.
Right.
At Ibrox. Like, it's been like, if I see you at Ibrox.
Just because of what you do?
Yeah. Like, I see you at Ibrox, like, and I'm not going to repeat it on here.
Yeah.
But I've had some really, really bad ones. And that's why, like, I don't tend to post about the football now. Because I feel like if you're posting about the football, like, I feel like it's just like, look at me, you're having to prove something to yourself.
Yeah.
But I find myself I've got a lot more peace of mind just not. Because then people don't know if I'm there or not. They're not going to, like, actively keep an eye out for me. I think it's brave to post exactly where you're sitting at Ibrox.
Yeah, it's not really worth it though, is it?
Yeah, like, I think I like the peace of mind. Like, I've got private socials that I use to death because it gives me an outlet where I can post everything I want to post, and I don't have 60,000 eyes on me. But I only use that for like if I'm posting about the football now, because it got that bad at some points where it was like I was scared to like go to the football because I was getting these threats, and I was like, God, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And I just at this point, like, I know people are like, oh, why is she like using Rangers for subs? But I don't at this point. Like, I feel like I used to, like, but that's all my subs my Twitter followers followed me for was for Rangers content. So like, how am I meant to know if I branch out to something else, like, they're gonna care?
Yeah.
And now, like, obviously it's a lot. I've changed that. And I really try not to focus on the football side of things, because I think football fans in general can be quite horrible.
Yeah, especially if you've picked your side, then it's
And I didn't pick my side; it was picked for me.
Yeah.
Long before I could even walk or talk.
Yeah.
I wasn't a choice I made. But Rangers aren't the only team I follow.
Right.
I follow my dad's team as well.
Okay.
And I had someone message me and was like, why did I see you at this game? You're an unloyal whore. I get called a whore a lot. It's one of those ones.
It goes for like 0 to 100.
Yeah, like,
very quick.
I think that's the one that just does not bother me anymore. I refer to myself as it sometimes. But yeah, I was like, I am allowed to go to other. I know it's like pure looked down on to go support more than one team in Scotland, but when one half your family supports one team, and my dad, who I'm quite close to, supports another one, I'm going to support my dad's team as well. Yeah. When there's no direct conflict with it being with Rangers, I can go enjoy these games. Yeah. And the atmosphere is so relaxed, and I'm not constantly stressing of there's a good chance someone here would notice me, and I don't want that confrontation.
Do you find when you're out, people do recognise you?
At the football, I've had a lot of times where people shout my names. Luckily I'm always with someone, so I kind of just put my head down and keep walking. But
do you ever get that awkward thing where people kind of look and you're looking and you're like, I know where you know me from?
I'll make eye contact with a lot of people. My favourite one was, I made a TikTok about it, and I actually got quite a big creator comment and being like, things that didn't happen, but someone had messaged me and was like, I seen you at Ibrox last night. You walked past me and I recognised you from your ass. And then underneath was like, yeah, you were wearing that purple top and blue jeans. And I was like, yeah, that probably was me. And he was like, yeah, you were wearing your glasses and white shoes. And I was like, okay, it was definitely me. But he was like, yeah, I recognise your ass.
Wow.
And I used that as my Twitter header for a good bit, because I was like, this is some wild ass promo of like someone recognising from my ass. But like, he didn't say anything, right? And see if you recognise me and you don't say anything, but you message me after, like on OnlyFans, and are like, oh, like, I seen you. You look really pretty. Like, it doesn't bother me because you see me in public. What am I meant to do? Walk about a mask on? Yeah. It's people I don't know when they come up to me and speak to me.
Yeah.
I think the precedent's been set by other creators that some people think it's okay to like just go up to every creator and be like, and chat to them and speak to them and interact with them. And I think you kind of get seen as a bit of a bitch if you don't thingy that. But I've got like horrific anxiety. We're obviously talking about the dentist earlier, but I've got bad anxiety in general, especially in public, which has always been the case. I've always been very socially anxious. I've got a therapist for it. It doesn't do anything, but it's there. And I think one of my biggest things is like, I don't like people, even friends and family, I'm very funny about people like touching me just on my like arms and legs or that, just like, and I snapped to my sister last week because she tried to hold my arm because I was walking back barefoot because my feet were that sore, and I was like, don't touch me, because I don't like it. I like having my wee bubble, and I've had some people like grab my arm,
right,
like say my name,
out and about. Right, okay,
at Ibrox, say my name and like grab my arm,
right.
And I've like basically had to contemplate going home because it's that stressed me that out. And I know a lot of people will like listen to this and be like, oh, she's asking for it because what she does, and I don't think I am. Like, I think you wouldn't grab the arm of like a movie star. Yeah,
I think that's an unfair.
Like, I think it's this whole thing of people seem to think, oh, like you deserve to be disrespected for what you do.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm creating content. You wouldn't do that to a YouTuber. It's just the type of content I create that people have an issue with and seem to think that I'm asking for no respect because of it. And I'm like, no, I've got plenty of self-respect for myself. Yeah. And I'd expect other people to treat me like a human. Just because of what I do, it doesn't make me any less than them. So yeah, that's my biggest thing, is like when people say my name and touch me, and I just don't like it.
Do you see the anxiety side of things? Does that prevent you sometimes with your content, or do you separate
I do
both of them?
I'm quite good at separating like the online side of things from in person. Like online, I've probably come, like on the OnlyFans, I've probably come along quite quite confident. But I think if you catch me like in person, I am like completely anxious. Like, I'm in a couple of like Twitter group chats that like started as like people adding me for a laugh, thinking I was like another creator, and would just ignore it. But like, I've joined in, and like some of these people that are in here, like I've got one, and they're all like really good friends of mine. Like, I went out and celebrated a birthday with them about a year ago, 2 years ago this year, but literally went out and like celebrated one of their birthdays. Like, I've got, see if any of them spoke to me, or any of like the other wee group chats I'm in. Like, it doesn't bother me. I've had that before. Like, people have been like, oh, we're like, if I can recognize your face, if I recognize your face, I know you, and if you say my name, like, I'm not gonna have any issue with it. But it's when it's like people I don't know and they expect me to like treat them.
We don't know how it's going to go at that point.
Yeah, like, I'm like, I don't know who you are. Like, someone phoned, it's a weird segue, but someone phoned me today on a number I didn't have saved, and I was like, hello, expecting it to be like a telemarketing phone call, but he was like, it was a Scottish boy, and he was like, hello, and I was like, hi again, and he was like, how you doing? And I was like, I don't have this number saved, and he's like, all right, and then I hung up, and I was like, I don't know who this is, and then I messaged him, and I was like, I don't know who this is, and he replied a wrong number, but something tells me it wasn't a wrong number.
Right.
I keep my number quite private.
Yeah.
I just don't know where he would have got it from, but it was very weird to me. I was like, the chance of someone Scottish phoning me and then saying wrong number, like he was speaking to me like he knew me.
But then I suppose it could have been, but your anxiety just tells you that it could be something totally different. I think
that's like my constant thing of like, I'm constantly a bit on edge with stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like having my privacy, and a lot of people don't think I'm entitled to it, but I like having my privacy. I like having stuff that people can't touch. I've got no issue blocking people if they try to follow my private socials. Yeah. So I like having this barrier of, this is what I want people close to me to see, and this is what everyone else can see. Yeah,
which is fair enough.
I tried to be a lot stricter with my boundaries, especially even stuff like walking the dog. Like, I don't like posting pictures if I've got my dog out just about like where I stay, because I've had people like pinpoint it and be like, you're here. I had someone message me. Now there's two cases of this. One of them, it turns out like I actually did know the person and it was fine. But someone messaged me and was like, I think I've seen you out walking your dog. You've got a black German Shepherd, right? You're walking along X Street. I think you stay in X Street. And I was like, do you know how creepy that is? Like,
just what you want to read.
Yeah, and then I lied and I was like, no, I don't stay there, sorry. But the issue is like my reg plate. I think if you know about my page, my reg plate is very easy for it to go like, oh, that's
Right, okay.
her.
Yeah.
Because it's just like an acronym of my page.
Right, okay.
So he was like, oh, but I seen this car with this red, and I thought that was yours. And I was like, no, that's not me. Sorry, I drive this instead. And just lied through the skin of my teeth. I was like, I'm not. Like, it's so strange. Like, what compels you to say to someone, oh, I think I know where you stay?
Yeah, that's a wee bit. Yeah.
It's
I don't know how I'd feel about that.
no, I'm like, do you not see how creepy that is?
There's no boundaries there.
No, I'm like,
Yeah.
if like, what do you expect me to say? To be like, oh yeah, I live here.
Yeah.
Like, wow. Yeah, it was just, it's one of those ones, like, I don't know how you message someone expecting them to react to that.
Yeah.
Because you're literally just, I think it's a complete invasion of privacy. I think if you see me and I'm walking my dog in my pyjamas outside,
Yeah.
you should just pretend you didn't see me, because I think if I wanted to be seen, I wouldn't be wearing my pyjamas out my Crocs with my dog.
Yeah.
I think there's times to know when someone wants to be seen, but I know I went to Sainsbury's, I think it was. Like, I got home and like I'd made eye contact with someone in the shop, and
Right.
it was that awkward eye contact. But I made eye contact and I didn't think any more about it. I went about my day, got what I needed and left. And then I got home and someone had messaged me and was like, I think I just seen you in Sainsbury's. We made eye contact, but I was with my
my God.
missus, so I didn't want to say anything.
Oh.
And I was like, so if she wasn't
So
there,
cringy.
yeah, I was like, so if she wasn't there, you might have said something. That's terrifying to me. So I changed my shop after that.
I think I saw it. Clearly you did.
Yeah, like, and he was like, oh, I like the Crocs. And I was like,
I couldn't deal with that.
no, it's genuinely the worst part, I think.
Jeez. Why do you think there's so many girls that do it now? Because over the last couple of years, like, there's been a massive...
Yeah, so I think it doesn't help. Social media doesn't help you see these girls and they make a lot. I think if you're someone has, like, say, most girls have maybe 1,000 followers on Instagram, not really a Twitter following. If you start it, there is a 90% chance you're not going to get anywhere with it. It's one of those things that you can't just do hoping it'll make you quick money.
Yep.
You have to put a lot of time into it. Which is, there is times that I have to take like 2 weeks off of PTing and just let my clients fend for themselves, because I have to put all my time into OnlyFans. But I think a lot of these girls see this glamorous life that a lot of girls lead and think, I want that. This is quick money. But it's not. Like, if you're not careful with it, it can tear you apart. Like, emotionally, it just will tear you apart. And I think a lot of girls seem to think, oh, it's as easy as getting a few 100 followers on Twitter and you'll be good to go. But it's far from it. Like, it's so a lot more work than people think.
Yeah.
I know when Jilly was on, she was talking about being like an influencer and that, and I was like, people view it as like an easy job.
Yeah.
And I think people do the same about OnlyFans. They think it's an easy job, and there are aspects of it that are easy, but it can just be as difficult, because it is a job at the end of the day. Like, you are working for it. You're not posting a couple of pictures and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna have all this money rolling in. You have to dedicate yourself to it, and I know a lot of girls are like, I'll start it, I'll do it for like a couple months and then I'll have my money and I'll go. And 9 times out of 10, you're lucky if they break 4 figures.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what they've got themselves into, and they don't know how to network properly. A huge part of it is like networking, which a lot of girls don't realise that without a platform, they can't do it. I know fine well, right, that if I didn't have the platform I had when I started my page, I probably wouldn't have done as well. But I'd had a following before I even started, and there was demand for me to have one, because I think every time a girl blows up on football Twitter, people want her to start one.
Yeah.
That I think that's the whole reason I even have any success on there. And I think you have to just at some point realise, I need to put myself out there, which I didn't for ages on Twitter, and I was stuck about that 20k mark. But then in the last 6 weeks, I was like, no, I'm just going to go full in, like post every other day, every kind of third day, and just go for it. And it does make a difference, but I think a lot of girls don't want to do that, because they don't want people to like it to become like this big thing of like people know what you're doing. But if you are hiding from that, there's no point in doing it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think if you want the money these other girls are making, you'd need to put your all into it. And I think it doesn't help that, like, Elle Brooke did a podcast the night before, and was like, he was asking about her future kids, and she was like, at least my kids will be crying a Ferrari.
I watched that with Piers Morgan. Yeah, I seen it.
And honestly, like, I get, like, her point. Like, I think it's your actions shouldn't be limited to what your future children should think.
Yeah.
I think there's also this thing that I don't think we'll ever grow out of, where, like, every single woman wants to have children and wants to be a mother, and that's not the case. Like, I get it all the time where people are like, what about your future kids? And I'm like, how do you know I want kids? Yeah. Like, I think also, I know it's not really, like, my place to tell, but I know other creators that, like, can't have kids. That are getting asked, like, what do you think your future kids are like? And surely that in a way has to be triggering to them. Yeah. That if it's constantly what you do now is defined by what your future children think. Because, I mean, look at footballers, for example, that shag everything that moves. That's just as bad, I think. Yeah,
but it's viewed differently.
Yeah, like, if you get, like Leonardo DiCaprio, for example, if he'd settled down instead of going for, like, 20-year-olds, like, he'd have this thing of, like, his kids, he'd tell those stories to his kids and laugh about it. Yeah. But, like, on the other hand, Taylor Swift, who's, like, if I could pick one celebrity that's, like, my absolute favourite, Taylor Swift. I'm a big Taylor Swift girl. She's had, I think, 6 relationships in 10 years. Yeah. And is viewed the complete opposite of Leonardo DiCaprio. That I think it's just, we look down on women. If a man starts an OnlyFans, I don't think people bat an eye. But if it's a woman and they're profiting off of essentially harassment they get given for free anyway, it's seen as, like, a bad thing. But, I mean, sex work's probably one of the oldest professions out there. Yeah. It's something that we're never going to be free of. There's always going to be sex work out there.
It's a bit like different industries, like alcohol, etc. There's always going to be an appetite for that industry no matter what.
Like with Scotland, like, we stop selling alcohol at 10 p.m. Yeah. But there's always going to be people that can get you it after 10 p.m. If people want something, there's going to be a way to get it. The safest thing that we can do is make that available, so they're not having to go down risky routes. Yeah. And I think I'd see the point if I literally, like, if they're criticising someone that works in a brothel. But I mean, if someone's working in a brothel, I doubt they grew up thinking, I want to work in a brothel one day. I want to hook up with random men. Yeah. Normally, 9 times out of 10, it's women that have no other choice. Yeah. Not that I'm saying that I don't have a choice. I do have a choice. I fully commit to doing OnlyFans because I enjoy it, surprisingly enough. I don't enjoy the kind of social media magnifying aspect of it, but I enjoy just chatting away. And I enjoy the content side of things. It can become very draining very quickly and very repetitive. But I do enjoy it, and I think some people need to understand that having safe outlets for it is more beneficial than making it this whole stigmatised thing. I know that when 6 months after I started, no, it would have been the August, but 7 months after I started, it was when OnlyFans had, like, said they were going to cut down on nude content. Yep. And the decision was U-turned within a week. Because the demand, the outcry was that big, because their platform is 90% NSFW content. Like, if they're doing that, it's suicide.
Well, people are choosing to subscribe for whatever. Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's suicide for the platform in general, because, I mean, you've got creators like, I'm trying to think who does it that I can think of. I think Cardi B maybe had one for a while. Karina Koff is one thing. I think she might have one. But all these creators that are in, like, top 0.1% are making 200 grand a month.
Do you think that's what people look at, though, when they want to do it, and absolutely. It's that trap?
And I think they need to realise that people are always like, oh, like, every girl is 0. Whatever, right? And I think there's about a million creators on OnlyFans. When you think about that as the numbers, I mean, 1% of that is what? I'm not good at maths. I'm going to have to do the maths for this.
You've just put me on the spot for
I know, I can't do the maths myself, so I'm going to have to, this is going to be like one of those ones that's dead embarrassing. Right, 1% is 10,000. So if you think about it that way, From 1% upwards, there are at least, there could be more creators on OnlyFans now, 10,000 creators that are top 1%. And that's not including like further down the ranks. So when you're seeing a lot of girls that are top 1% and upwards, so all of these creators are not point something. And I think people need to realise that the creators you're seeing more of are because they have a bigger platform, and that bigger platform means they are in the knots, and that's why you're seeing more of them. That it's not just like everyone's not point whatever. I mean, I know a lot of girls are stuck 5-10%, which when you compare yourself to girls that are like 0.01, feels like you're a failure. And I think a lot of girls, that's really why a lot of girls regret it, is they get started thinking, oh, I'm going to make these huge bucks, and then don't make anywhere near what they want to. And are like, why have I just done this to myself? And regret it really quickly. But I'd been thinking about it for close to a year before I actually started. I had the thought in the back of my mind, and then I just decided to take the plunge. I was like, I've thought about it for long enough. I might as well. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. By that point, anything I put out there, I wouldn't have been bothered if someone had like leaked it. But I was like, I'll do that and see how it goes. And it went well, and now I'm here. And I think I'd only stop if it got too much on my mental health. I think if it ever got to the point where like it was getting too much and I was genuinely miserable, that's when I'd stop. I'm not going to stop because someone's like, ooh, maybe you should think about your future. Like, this is what's setting me up for and they're always like, oh, like, what are you going to do afterwards? I'm like, I do have another job. I do have a degree. Like, that's not my worry. It allows me to enjoy my life while I'm younger.
And that's, without getting into specifics of money, you've obviously done it for 2.5 years. At what point of that 2.5 years did you feel that the money was at a decent spot for you to have a good life, or be not comfortable, but it would give you the motivation to keep doing it?
I'd probably say like maybe 8 months in, when it was steady enough that like it allowed me to live comfortably on top of other bits. Mostly like PT, and like I can live comfortably. It gives me enough comfort where I'm not having to work myself into the ground as a PT. I can enjoy life. I can go on my holidays. I had my dog at that point. My dog being like my favourite purchase. That's funny, because that's what he was. Like, people were like, oh, like, what were you kids think? And I was like, I literally bought a dog with money I made. Actually, I bought 2 dogs with money I made from OnlyFans, and I would not change it for the world. Best investments ever. But yeah, think about when it was steady for like 8 months. And it's always been quite steady. I've had really good months. But it's always stayed about. There's been like a flat line. And normally it does only give or go up. It doesn't really dip below it. And as long as it stays on that line, then I'll probably keep doing it. I think social media is always growing. There's always new ways to get people in. I think unless something drastically changes, I can't see it changing until I really get bored of it. Or people get bored of me. Which is already happened. It lets
you plan for other things in your life as well.
I can start saving now for like future things. There's a lot of things that I feel like I'm very grateful with, like cost of living crisis. I've not had to worry about. I've just been able to keep pushing on. And actually, in a way, with my PTing, I actually offer a lot, like a quite a discounted rate, because sometimes, like, see if I know a client comes to me and they're like, oh, like, I'm struggling a bit financially, I'd rather just take them on and better them and not have to worry about what like I'm gaining from it. Like, I think eventually if I was to open my own gym, then that might be when I stop, but I want to have the back up there that like I could take on, like, say like 10 clients for free that couldn't afford to pay for a personal trainer normally, give them a full service and still like be fine. Like, just pay it back in some way. So that's one of my big things is I do want to eventually pay it back, but I want to be able in a comfortable financial position before I do that. So that's just kind of the long game. I don't see myself stopping anytime soon though. There's creators that started at the same age as me that are now 26 and still doing it with no sign of stopping. So I like look at that and I'm like, well, that could be me.
And then I suppose if you're earning enough so that you can plan your future, then why would you not?
Exactly. I think it gives me a good ground to work up on. Like, and kind of base
100%.
myself off of. I mean, I don't have to worry about... I get to do things I enjoy without having to worry too much about the impact that they might have.
Yeah.
I know recently I've decided I've wanted to do golf for ages. One of my like core memories is being younger and like having a mini set of golf clubs
Right.
and just whacking balls with my grandparents' garden. And it used to be my favourite thing to do when I was up, but I don't know why. I just had an influx of like TikToks of like women golfing. And I was like, wow, I feel like I want to get into it. So that's kind of like my biggest hobby now. And I like being able to just explore things, like new hobbies, and not have to like worry about it too much.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Which is my big thing of I just need something to do because I feel like I am a workaholic.
Mm-hmm.
And if I take up golf, then it at least gives me something that gets me out the house and not sat in front of a screen for like 16 hours a day. Because I mean, I go to the hospital now because the muscles in my eyes have stopped working. So I can't focus on stuff close up to me. Which I'm 90% sure is because I spend so much time on a screen. But yeah, that's one of those ones that I was like, God, I need to get out more.
Oh man. What about... I'm curious, like I've had one person on before that's done this for a living. And I'm always curious as to friends and family reaction. Because it could be...
It's... With like right, so my best friends, and they all know about it, they all ask about it. Everywhere else, it's like Voldemort.
Just
We just don't talk about it. It's like the elephant in the room, I think everyone knows, but it's not discussed.
Right, okay. Do they actually know though, or are you just surmising that they know?
Based on context clues.
Right, okay.
I think they know.
Okay.
Yeah, when they ask me about my job, they're asking about my personal training. But yeah, it's just...
Do you prefer that way, but nobody just leave it as is?
Yeah, I just prefer being left to my own devices. Like, I don't think everyone needs to know every single thing I'm doing. I know they follow me on social media anyway.
Yeah.
Like, even not even like Twitter, but like my Instagram. And for a while I was promoting it on my Instagram. So it's there. It's hidden in plain sight.
Yeah.
I have my name there because I feel like the last thing I want is like Elle Brooke, when she was in the drama Astrid Wet just put her full name out there. And I'm like, why would you want to have the chance that someone can do that to you? Yeah. Like, I just don't see the point. I was like, the last thing I want is someone to have something to hold over me.
You want to control your own narrative, really?
Yeah, I'm like, I control myself. Like, they can't, there's nothing they can do if they can't give it out to me. Yeah. And my favorite example of that is a YouTuber that I loved growing up, Nikki Tutorials. She, the entire time she's been on YouTube, has been trans. And it wasn't until someone a few years ago started blackmailing her that she basically like flipped it and took control of the narrative and like made a video and was like, I'm trans. Like, I've been trans this whole time, and I didn't want to bring it out because I don't want it to define me. But it was someone blackmailing me, and like I don't want to ever have to make something like that. I'd rather just have it there. Yeah. If people want to be, they can look me up if they want. But I do, like, I've kind of, it's another thing that's hidden in plain sight, I think. Yeah. Because when I started my Twitter, it's just my full name. And now it's not. So a lot of new people, like, on Twitter don't know my full name. But it's not that hard to find it out.
It's not something you're worrying about. Yeah.
I mean, I've had people message me on Facebook before. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, Facebook, you can literally get onto like my entire family's profile. That could be cut because I don't want to give anyone any ideas. But yeah, like, you can get on and get onto my entire family's profile. Like, it's not something that particularly stresses me out. It's one more thing I've got control of that they don't. Yeah.
Do you think the industry, like, as in OnlyFans, has got a shelf life? Or do you think it'll
I don't think so. No. I think we're only getting more and more digital. Yeah. I think, look at the shelf life of Pornhub. Yeah. Pornhub's been around forever. I mean, a lot of creators that started on Pornhub have now migrated over to OnlyFans. And I don't think they would have done that if it didn't have a... Yeah. Like, I think even if OnlyFans stops existing, there's going to be a copy. There's always going to be copies. I think as we go more digital, it's just going to be a thing. Yeah. Like, if we've had sex work for the past thousands of years, I don't think it's going to go away now. I mean, with the way global warming's gone, we've not got much time left anyway. So.
No, this is very true. If you were able to change one thing about the industry, what would it be?
That's tough. See, I feel like the stereotypical answer is like the stigma of it all.
Yeah.
But I think it's just the way people view creators. I think people need to view creators more as humans and not just like toys online.
Yeah.
I think a lot of men just view it as that and don't realise like there is a person behind that that is reading that has like skin. I mean, a lot of cases it's not the actual person in general, but with me it's like when people are messaging me, like it is me reading it.
Yeah.
Like I am seeing this. You're not messaging some like robot that doesn't have emotions.
Yeah.
Like I think if people could be more mindful of that, it would be perfect. And I wouldn't feel like I'm constantly just at war with people that can't listen.
Do you think people are recognising it more as a job now than they were, or do you think that's still
rocky?
Yeah.
I mean, the same guys that criticise it on Twitter are the ones that are paying for it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that'll ever change. It's the calls coming from inside the house 90% of the time when it's like you're criticising people that buy it, you're seeing people criticising buying it and like people that sell it. I mean, there is a market for it. There's always going to be a market for it. And a lot of the time it's just men in denial.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's so bizarre. I think people will never view it as a job.
Do you think? No?
I don't think so. I think, as bad as it sounds, I think people would need to respect. I don't want to be like one of those people like, oh, I'm a feminist. Like, women aren't respected. But I think there's not enough respect there on a baseline level for it to be, because it's a women prominent job.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of men don't like seeing women succeed, which is probably something I'll get a hate for. But it seems to be like big creators that are making a lot from it are the ones that get the most hate because of how much they make.
And they're doing it themselves.
Yeah, and it's like, it's yous that are paying for that.
Yeah.
It's yous that are making it. Like, I hate when I see guys like, oh, like, how's she making that much money? Not even about me, but about other creators. I'm like, it's men like you that are giving her the money to do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just an uphill battle all the time. And I think it's only getting worse. Like, especially, like, not that this is at all relevant, but it's something I do kind of have a heart, like a closest to my heart to. But like, when you look at the whole like pro-life debate, like America just overturned that Roe v. Wade's. Like, I think it's going to be like a ping pong. It's going to be back and forth. We're going to take steps forward and then 10 years later take steps backwards.
Yeah.
I don't think there's ever going to be this nice even ground where everything's perfect and it doesn't feel like you have to hide what you do, which I don't hide. See, if someone asks me about it, like, I'll honestly be like, yeah, I do it. Like, so what?
Yeah.
I was out on a night out a couple of weeks back for a birthday, and it came up, and my best friend had looked at me. She gave me the eye of like, are you going to say anything? Yeah. And I was like, well, yeah, and I did. I was just like, I do it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people stop in their tracks when you say that.
Yeah, because they're expecting you to hide it.
Yeah. They're like expecting you sitting quiet, and I'm like, no, I do it. Like, like, I don't know why.
But why should you?
Yeah. Like, it is the amount of hours I put in.
Yeah.
I put in more hours a day on it than a lot of people do in their main time job. There's days that I start on OnlyFans at 10 when I've finished up with PTM or my PT stuff in the morning, and I'm on that site basically till 3 a.m. I take a couple of breaks in between to walk a dog, eat, shower, etc. But I'm on there for 15 hours.
Which is a shift.
Yeah, like, I know, like, it's obviously not as tiring as a lot of people expect, but see, as someone with a low social battery, it can be a lot. Like, just being on and speaking to people for that long and trying to keep yourself, like, motivated for it. But yeah, it is a job. I just don't think people realise it. But there are a lot of things like that. I mean, people that are, like, painters.
Yeah.
I don't think people view painters as, like, not like painters as in, like, decorators, but like people that paint, like, portraits and that. I think there's always the thing of people are like, oh, that's not a real job. Like, when you want to get in the arts, people are like, that's not a real job. And I think it's just one of those things. People don't like creative jobs.
Yeah, you could be right.
We've been trained to want to work in an office. And when people want to go outside that and be creative, it's not really interpreted well.
It's like, how dare you?
No, how dare you be different?
Okay, last question. Based on the 2.5 years you've been doing it, is there anything that you know now that you wish you had knew at the very start? And the kind of experience you've had going all the way through the last 2.5?
Don't let people get to you as much.
Yeah.
Social media, I think I wish I invested in my social media a lot sooner than I did, because I was always that scared wheel of like, I'm going to grow my social media and I'll get 10 times like I do.
Yeah.
I get the same amount of hate as I did then. I think back then it probably seemed like more than I actually get now because it's a smaller audience. But I think I wish I had utilised that a lot more.
Yeah.
And I wish I had been more consistent throughout, because like everything there's been times where I've been really motivated and there's times where I've been not motivated at all.
Yeah.
And I do sometimes just wish I'd stayed consistent. And I'm trying to get there. If I get burnt out, I'm just pushing through to try and maintain it, which obviously isn't healthy. But yeah, I think I just wish I'd been consistent, push my socials more, realise that not everyone's going to like me, so I shouldn't care about it too much. And that I wouldn't regret it. I think walking on eggshells for the first few months, because I was like, God, what if this doesn't work out for me?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it has worked for me, and I wish I could tell myself that. Like, you don't have to.
Yeah.
You can just put your all into it now, and it will pay off. I think it's that thing of probably a lot of people that start it, they don't want to because they're like, oh, if I put my all into it and then it doesn't pay off, then I look like I've embarrassed myself.
Yeah.
But sometimes embarrassing yourself is the best way to get subscribers in.
Really?
I think so. See, I think when you embarrass yourself, people are more likely to share it. People are more likely to put a wee reply in.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, lol, ha, 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 ha. Which is sometimes I've purposely misspelled a word in my captions, so people will comment and correct
generate
me,
traffic.
and it generates traffic. And I know a good example of that's like Alexa Grace. She is very intelligent in how she markets herself, because she markets herself as being stupid. And God, that's ingenious, because all of her comments are people correcting her.
Yeah.
And not calling her out, but like correcting her and being like, lol, what? And it gets her so much more traffic, and that is why she's successful. And I think, not that I would dumb myself down, but I think sometimes you do need to just embarrass yourself a little bit just to get a little bit more views. I know my best ever TikTok got 700 views, and it was me in my car. Now, I used to drive a 59 plate Corsa. Pride and joy. She's still alive. I don't drive her now, but she's still alive and kicking. But I'd made a TikTok with a Five Guys cup, and it was like the Jeffrey Bezos song from Bo Burnham.
Right.
And it was like, when you dropped out of uni but now make X amount a month. And all the comments were being like, how do you make that much? You're wearing an Apple Watch. You can't make that much. It's like, you're driving this car. How are you making this much? And like the traffic I got off that, because people were just like pointing out all these ways that they couldn't fathom how much I make, just off of these like context clues. Yeah, it's crazy. Sometimes you do just need to put yourself out a bit there and have people correct you, and it will get you so much more traffic. So yeah.
Love it. Thank you so much for coming in. I really hope that people watch it and get an actual view on what it's like to have a creator career for a job, and everything that goes behind the actual content that goes out. Because people probably just look at a picture and don't see the actual hours. Yeah. And the graft that goes on behind the scenes with it.
I'm just going to think I'm an absolute lunatic and even more annoying than I come across on Twitter.
This will go down well. Trust me. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's been brilliant.